Welcome to Guns, Guns, Gear, and Guns with Gary Gunderson. I am Gary Gunderson. Attorney General Merrick Garland has appeared in front of the House Judiciary Committee and fielded some questions about the ATF, which falls under his authority.
So, with respect to the brace, it does not apply to an arm brace applied by a disabled person or anyone else. The statute says if you have a rifle 16 inches or smaller intended to be fired from the shoulder, that it has to be registered. The shoulder braces, which are only used to fire from the shoulder, turn it into a short-barreled rifle. They turn a short-barreled pistol, into a short-barreled rifle.
Now we play Idiot or Liar. And it seems we have a tie because the statement was both stupid and a lie. The ATF brace ban rule does not distinguish between so-called arm braces or shoulder braces at all because they are nonsensical made-up terms that he just came up with. Most of the braces can be strapped to your arm. However, in the lengthy rule, there is not a single brace that would not violate the new rule that is identified. Every brace turns the firearm into a short-barreled rifle. He just came up with this classification on the fly, which has no basis in reality. That does not stop others from defending this rule.
Yet there are officials and others in power that continue to push back on just simple common sense legislation, rulemaking, and other efforts that can save the lives. The DOJ issued a proposed rule to clarify restrictions on short-barreled rifles. This life-saving rule is also being challenged.
That's a good thing.
Okay, you're going to need to explain to me how turning millions of Americans who acquire their firearms legally and are not committing crimes with them into felons is going to save lives. It's not illegal to have the brace, so if the rule is upheld, it would be very easy to put a brace on a pistol anyways. Or in fact, since it is already illegal to do so, people will just put stocks on them instead, which has always been an option.
The DOJ just issued a proposed rule to update the definition of frame or receiver, which would regulate so-called ghost guns, the same as traditional firearms. And this life-saving rule is now being challenged.
Actually, it treats these incomplete kits wholly unlike any other firearm, declaring that a thing that is non-functional is a firearm that requires a background check and a license to sell is absurd. You don't need a liquor license to sell grapes because grapes are not yet wine.
The DOJ published a rule to update the definition of engaged in business regarding the sale of firearms, and this life-saving rule is also being challenged.
Again, how making it ambiguous on who needs a license in order to sell firearms saves lives will need to be explained.
America, explain!
Plus, it is good that the complete overreach by a bureaucratic nightmare is challenged, as the courts are the only recourse left at this point.
Now, I'm all for accountability and transparency and protecting our constitutional rights, but
it's funny, there's always a but when they talk about protecting constitutional rights. You know, rights they swear to defend and uphold upon taking office. It's the very beginning of their oath.
We have 5- and 6-year-olds in our classrooms that have learned more about active shooter drills than they probably have in their own academics.
Yep, exactly true. Check any syllabus all day, every day. Shooter drills, naps, more drills, and a little bit of science sprinkled in for flavor.
And everyone here on this committee should be eager to find ways to protect the American public and to eliminate unlawful guns and the access and possession of them by people who simply should not have them.
The problem is that you think everyone falls under the circle of those who should not have them, at least when it comes to any modern firearms.
Have you had a discussion about why he's not prosecuting more gun crime here in D.C.?
He is putting huge priorities into prosecuting violent crime in the District of Columbia, and the Maine Justice has provided assistance from the FBI, ATF, and the marshals, as well as assistant U.S. attorneys from other locations to help him do that.
Well, I find it interesting that he's declined to prosecute 30% of the assault cases with dangerous weapons in 2022.
He has also questioned some more about the engaged in the business rule.
So if I have as many guns as I want, in my personal collection, do you think, you have this new rule that you celebrated with your ATF director, which I think is very dangerous. Do you think there should be limitations on percentage of my collections that I should be able to sell, or time frame I can hold a gun? Like, I could buy 10 guns and try to shoot them in the range, they're not good, and I went and sold them. Should be there any limitations on the time frame or percentage of how much of my collections I can replace?
There's an exception in the statute for sales from personal collections.
So I can do as many. I can sell 500 guns, so it shouldn't be a problem, right? If I want to, if it happens that it's, I just want to replace.
All I can say is there's an exception in the statute and the regulations with respect to sales from personal collections. I don't know the answer to the question about percentages.
Well, it would be good because American people would like to know the answer, because this creates a lot of dangers, and we'll follow up with the latter because, this is called destroy people's life, and we already had this situation that happened in Arkansas.
This was supposed to be, I thought, an oversight hearing for the Department of Justice. And unfortunately, it has descended into a lot of rhetoric. And so I will spend the remaining amount of my time left talking about an issue that's deeply important to me, and I know an issue that's important to you, which is the scourge of gun violence. Implementing the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which was a bipartisan bill that this Congress passed thanks to President Biden's leadership.
That's all for today. Kind of a shorter video on a longer hearing, but a lot of this one was focused on other matters. If you made it to the end of the video, please consider supporting me on Patreon, joining the Discord, liking the video, sharing it with others, subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.